consider ourselves Christians in a band who write about experiences where God is very most up in front in all our lyrics. So yes, I would say we're a Christian band. Yeah.
Being passionate in this scene is what is already expected, so you can get up and yell about things and be way overly emotive, and that's what people want to see and want to hear in this genre, so in that sense it works really well. I'd say 99.9% of Christians that I may think that it's real cool that we're somewhere that not heaps of Christians are, and they're usually pretty stoked about that.
What I do is like bringing glory to God in that sense. Like
Christianity is not very accepted in hardcore because of the way, I guess, the vibe of the unwritten law of hardcore, if you want, is, I guess, to be passionate about stuff but not to force that stuff on anyone else is kind of everyone's biggest thing. So the way that a lot of Christians go about pushing their beliefs is something that sits really not well with the hardcore scene combined when it just gets offensive, I guess, and I think that's something that atheists do probably worse than Christians do nowadays, is kind of anyone who doesn't believe what they believe, they're really offensive about the way they express that, and to me that just puts me off. Even if it's like a real cool jam, it just puts me off the entire song.
people don't accept us, like that's totally fine. We know what the faith is about, but the faith is also about love and accepting and respecting other people.
The music you're playing in church should just be the music that suits the majority of the people who are there. So if I went to a church full of people like me and the guys in my band, then I'm sure the worship would sound like the music that we play.
At the moment, I don't think hardcore is very relevant to say like the demographic of a whole church. Anyone can listen to it, but it's not something we can play or something with it.
Lyrical content is quite important. If something is very blatantly sort of over the top, like dark sort of music, I won't typically be drawn to that. But I do sort of, I do listen to lots of stuff that perhaps other Christians aren't so comfortable listening to. The lyrical content might not be agreeable, but I take that on board in the same way that I would read a book or watch a movie that sort of deals with those sort of dark issues.
And we all have a belief in something bigger than ourselves, and we're not like, we don't push that we're a Christian band. We never have said that we are, but there are Christians in the band. Myself being one of them. So it shines through in the lyrics, and they've always allowed me to just, say what I want to say, and I'm indebted to them for that. I think what we need to really reimagine is what it means to be a Christian in the scene. For the past couple years, man, like Christians in hardcore have made a really, really bad image of Christ.
If you say straight up, we're a Christian band, a lot of people will not listen to you just because of that, and they don't have that opportunity to engage with the lyrics or engage with the music. And so you hear the phrase like, I'm a Christian in a band a lot, as opposed to we are a Christian band. And so it alienates people, whether they like it or not, it will alienate people.
I think most of that has to do with labeling our music Christian, because then, like, once you have that label, you have to live up to the standard. And what gets lost is that, we're all human. A band's not some like static, unchanging thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're all people. We just make music. So it's hard to say that there's any such music as Christian music, because we're all just people. We all just we make what we feel, and if faith is part of that, which for me it is, like what I did tonight was worship for me. Like,
bands or artists who are trying to distance themselves from that sort of 90s, early 2000s sort of scene, which makes a lot of money, but it's what they call Jesus is my boyfriend sort of music. Like, it just sounds like a typical pop song, but they just replace the word baby with Jesus. That has a tendency, that's just a generalization obviously, but as a whole, Christian music is not very widely respected.
It needs to be something different than what we've had, and that's Christians making a bad name for Christ. And I think it's time for most people to just kind of be quiet and then live humbly and live like Christ and show Christ instead of, blaring that they're Christian. What seems to set our music apart and lyrics apart is, I've tried my hardest to make it as relatable as possible. I don't want to exclude it. I don't want to ever say something that is going to make someone else feel less than, because that's not Christ-like in my eyes. And I think that my God is big enough to show himself to them, like, by himself throughout their life. And I believe strongly in a very, very big God that works in ways that we can't fathom. And I guarantee that people can and will encounter him. It just takes a certain tuning, you know what I mean? It just takes a certain tapping into, like, something as simple as, like, shivers. A lot of people have kind of made it, like, traditional, like, uber traditional conservative Christian views, dressed up in tattoos and screams, you know what I mean? And that, that's not progress, that's just redressing up something really old. You know what I mean?
Peculiarity of the hardcore scene is that everyone is very open and quite friendly. It's quite different to other musical scenes or subcultures in that sense. Or like the power of music sort of transcends all sorts of religious barriers or like all sorts of beliefs or whatever worldview you have. If the music's good, people will listen to it and they'll engage with it and connect with it. And that's all down to musicianship and songwriting. Brotherhood is a big theme in sort of the hardcore scene. It really sort of cuts through all these barriers and we can be friends, and they don't care if you're black or white or Asian or Christian or atheist or Buddhist or whatever. Everyone's sort of there just to be in the music and have a good time. No matter where you've come from, who you are, what you believe, what your sexual orientation is, tonight we're all here for the music. We're all here like in these four walls.